Westworld has gotta be one of the most enigmatic drama television shows of our time, running, if not parallel, pretty damn close to David Lynch's cryptic nature found in Twin Peaks. Westworld has a canvas over its many storyline dilemmas, and when the show reveals something that is significant to revealing those secrets, it's always disguised as small suggestions that we would easily disregard. The second season has its own strengths, which makes it thoroughly different than the show's debut with season 1. There's a new piece of the puzzle to uncover. In this particular episode, I want to discuss what I believe to be one of the most imperative mysteries not only in the season, but in the series. Bernard Lowe is one of the greatest players in Robert Ford's game. Next to Dolores, Bernard is the most dynamic character in the show. His situation has altered since his state as Arnold Weber in the past. Talking about Dolores, we find out this season just how valuable she was to Arnold and how he worked closely on her development, which might explain her massive change in the series. She could simply be symbolizing and mimicking Arnold's own progression. Let me know if you'd like me to further analyze Dolores' character for a future video. Before I stray too far away from this video's true meaning, let's talk about Bernard's critical condition and how it relates to the current timeline in Season 2. Welcome to the channel. If you're new to these analysis videos, click the subscribe button below and keep an eye out for Westworld analysis videos. You can also find my soundtrack analysis on the first season for Westworld in a card above, in a series called Score Uncovered. With everything put in order, let's begin. In the second season, Bernard Lowe is a suspect to the audience. He has shown many faces since the first episode of the series that makes us wonder, who the hell does he think he is? As his past life as Arnold Weber, he was co-designer of the hosts along with Robert Ford. You might also say he is Ford's polar opposite. Arnold and Robert initially sought different outcomes with the hosts' true functions, but in the end, Ford caved into Weber's ideal path for the robots. Robert Ford, creative director of Westworld Parks, created Bernard to handle his own exclusive business in secret. He knew the potential of Arnold's maze and its outcome. He wanted the hosts to eventually understand how to reach the end of it, and he used Bernard to push them there. In Season 2, he still has a hand in the game. There are still remnants of his code in the hosts. In William's current timeline, various hosts encounter him with cryptic phrases such as, "You're in my game now," and "the only way to go forward is to go backward," which are obvious to the man in black that Ford is giving him these instructions. El Lazo, the new replacement of Lawrence's character, is one of the few programmed by Ford to inform William that he needs to play the game alone. Immediately after Ford's manipulated dialogue, El Lazo's gang simultaneously commits suicide. It's obvious that Robert still has his manipulations hard-coded into his park. And let's be honest, Dr. Ford, is an architect of transgression and has effectively shaped the series of events in this world. At the gala in the Season 1 finale, he risked his life by attending with hosts that he knows are finally gaining sentience, causing them to become known of their past torment. He had to have known about Dolores' activity that has gotten to where she is now and how she can act on it. He knew he would die. Seeing a dead body that is presumed to be Robert isn't enough to give up all hope, even if he might be a murderous, crazy lunatic and cause harm on anyone else in the future. It wouldn't be difficult to say that Robert Ford didn't die and that body could have been a host disguised as him, but I think there is more to his death that we still don't see. Which brings me to discuss how I believe Bernard Lowe's role in Westworld Season 2 is a red herring. Once again, there are two main timelines this time around in Season 2. The first one is immediately after the Gala shootout, and the second occurring in the near future, precisely 2 weeks, sometime after an unknown event that involves some possible genocide with the hosts. Both these timelines heavily revolve around Bernard's perspective. Although the first timeline takes a majority of the show's screen time, the second is vital to the show's progression and to discovering what came out of the hosts' revolution. This future timeline presents a silent Bernard that has led others to believe he has forgotten his past events. What makes the events at this time odd is that it doesn't include a great amount of returning characters from Season 1, besides Bernard, Stubbs, and Charlotte, people who are employees at Westworld. we are introduced to a Delos power broker named Strand, and many other mercenary units that have recently entered the scene. Whatever has happened to Bernard up to this point is essential to determining the season's enigma. In the Revolution timeline that highlights a greater portion of the original cast, Bernard follows what almost looks like a scripted path that is leading him to a certain revelation. He has coincidentally fallen into the hands of Dolores, who doesn't seem to be surprised by her findings. Dolores eventually has Clementine drag him to rendezvous with Elsie, where Bernard recollects his memory of the hidden base there. Unless Clementine has gone rogue, Dolores has planned Bernard's next plan of action, rather than discarding or retaining him. It's possible that Arnold outlined a plan with Dolores during her time outside of Westworld that involved Bernard's plan of actions. It is also possible that Dolores and her team's actions are still being manipulated by Ford's programming to keep Bernard on track. Whatever the case, Bernard has started visualizing other events, either future or past, that is guiding his way. This brings me to the possibilities of Bernard's current critical condition. The reasons for his unstable nature could be 1. Due to the prior events of shooting himself in the head, and all the drama leading up to that point. 2. He has been completely brainwashed by Ford. Or 3. His host has been modified prior to the Gala, and his body is fighting against the changes. The first possibility is simply too simple for a complicated storyline. If that were the case, then there's nothing more to it. But this is Westworld and shit goes down, and things are never that easy. Plus, I'm not making this video to talk about the logical reason. This will be complex as hell. Although I do think the gunshot has some impact to Bernard's brain leakage with the cortical fluid, making him malfunction at times. The last two possibilities, for the most part, point towards his unusual behavior in the future timeline with Strand and the gang. Bernard is experiencing forgotten memories of time where Ford took complete control. He has slowly become unreliable to the audience, especially in episode 4's concluding scene where he understands the destruction he has caused. It's as if Bernard has stopped sharing his thoughts to the viewer. After he wakes on the beach of what I think would be fun to say is the real world, he has changed his behavior entirely. He avoids conversing with anyone and studies his surroundings as if he doesn't know how to operate as Bernard would. At this moment, we follow him with a blind eye. The unusual visions we see on the other timeline are non-existent in this one. There is a possibility that this isn't Bernard anymore. It has already been proven in episode 4 that a person's life is able to be transferred into a host and retain their memories. And there's one person that has known of Bernard's true nature since the beginning, Robert Ford. In episode 4, The Riddle of the Sphinx, Bernard recalls how he took control of the enhanced worker hosts to kill everyone within the underground facility. Yet another alleged time, Ford controlled his actions. Bernard removes and seizes one of the red core processing units, used for the James Delos experiment. He comes up with the conclusion that Ford planned on using that core unit to transfer another human into another host's body. It's feasible that Ford could have intended to use this custom unit to transfer his own life into a stronger and better body. And since Ford could easily shape a host's body into a replica of himself, or whomever he wanted, perhaps he planned his death and to disguise himself afterwards while keeping a hand in operations. And who is the closest to Ford's powerful position in Westworld? Bernard Lowe. Keep in mind, we have been recently presented with Bernard's physical strength twice in episode 4. Once in his flashback where he bashes the head of an employee during his raid, and the other when fighting against James Delos' host in the quarantine chamber. Is he the same type of model as these separate worker hosts that seem to have the same vigor? In his flashback, he did have direct control over them after all. Whatever the reason, Ford ensured Bernard's survival with his powerful ability for a purpose. Perhaps Bernard's malfunctions could be a side effect to Ford's transition, and over time, 2 weeks approximately, for Ford to have full command over the Bernard host. Maybe Bernard can see the change and doesn't think he will have the capability to stop it. Whether or not Ford is alive or not, whether he is somehow instilled into Bernard, he is still infused in the minds of all the hosts. He brought life to the robotic characters, much like an author of a novel or a director of an original film. Before I give my final thoughts on Bernard's state, don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with more Westworld material. I haven't officially made Westworld into its own series on the channel, but if you guys want more, I'll give it to you. I also want to put into light the impressive directorial debut by Lisa Joy on episode 4 of the second season. That episode has to be one of the greatest in the series so far. It's amazing the strength the Westworld team has, especially the underappreciated role that Lisa Joy has in the show. Based on your interest for the show, you can find more analysis videos on other shows like Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, and many more. Find my ongoing series Score Uncovered, where I explain the strengths of various musical scores from your favorite movies, TV shows, and video games. If you want to request a specific topic on Westworld that you'd like me to cover, let me know here on YouTube or on my Twitter page. Bernard Lowe has changed his identity, become unpredictable, and lost himself in a manipulated design in the world of Westworld. Everything that Bernard has gone through since his death as Arnold has become regulated and outlined by his past partner, Robert Ford, the man that has composed this whole arrangement. Sure, we can expect Dr. Ford to be dead, but there are still remnants of his code throughout the park that means he thought this through. A path has been forced upon Bernard before, and even now he is finding difficulties in his progression. Could he still be controlled, or is Ford disguising himself? There is a bigger secret to the park that isn't just the creation of immortal humans, something that is still unclear at this time in the plot. Thank you for watching this video, and consider subscribing to see more analysis videos on film, TV shows, and video games. Thank you again, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you.